The homeless woman walked into the building, ignored by everyone, and said in a steady voice, "I bought this place." Some laughed, others looked away, until she pulled a single document from her pocket. The millionaire's smile vanished, his hands trembled, and the entire hallway fell into absolute silence. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment where in the world you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. "Mommy, is the cough going to make me stop?" Sarah Miller tightened her arms around her daughter. The cardboard beneath them crackled. Outside their doorway, the Chicago wind screamed. "No, baby," Sarah said, her voice low and steady. "It's just a cough. It will go away." "It hurts right here," Lily whispered, placing a small hand on her chest. Sarah felt the heat of Lily's forehead through the thin wool of her hat. It was not just a cough. It was the deep cold, the wet socks, the nights breathing in dirty air. It was their life, and it was making her little girl sick. They were in the back entrance of a closed shop. It was their spot for 3 nights now. It had a roof over the doorway. That was good. "I counted the cars," Lily said, her voice drowsy. "I got to 47. "That's good counting," Sarah said. She rubbed Lily's back. In her coat pocket, her fingers brushed against a piece of paper. It was folded so many times it was soft as cloth. She did not need to take it out. She knew the words by heart, the lawyer's name, the account number, her grandmother's last gift, called a trust. For years that paper was a shame to her. Using it meant she had failed. She could make it on her own. She had to. But Lily's cough was getting worse. The sound was not a little tickle. It was a deep, wet rattle. Sarah felt the fear, a cold stone in her own stomach. "We need to go to the shelter soon," Sarah said, "for breakfast." "The man with the loud voice will be there," Lily mumbled into Sarah's coat. "We don't have to talk to him. We just get the food and go." Lily coughed again, her whole small body shaking with it. Sarah held her. She made a decision. It felt like jumping off a high wall. "Lily, listen. After we eat, we're going to take a bus." "A bus?" Lily lifted her head. Her blue eyes were wide in the dim light. They didn't take buses. Buses cost money. "Yes, a long bus ride to a special building." "What building?" Sarah took a slow breath. "A building someone gave me, a long time ago." Lily was quiet, thinking. "Gave you? Like a present?" "Sort of." It was not the whole truth. The whole truth was too big and complicated. "I have a paper that says I can go there. It was Grandma Rose's present." "Is it warm there?" Lily asked. Sarah's throat felt tight. "Yes, baby. I think it will be very warm." They gathered their things, 2 backpacks with all they owned. They walked to the shelter. The sky was the color of old cement. At the shelter, they ate oatmeal and drank orange juice. Sarah saved a dry roll in her pocket for later. With the last few dollars in the world, she walked Lily to a bus stop. She watched the numbers on the buses. When the right one came, she pulled Lily up the steps. She paid with coins that felt heavy leaving her hand. They sat near the back. Lily pressed her face to the window, watching the city change. The broken sidewalks and old buildings slowly melted away. The streets became wider. The buildings grew taller and shinier, like giant mirrors reflecting the gray sky. Sarah's heart was a drum. She counted the stops. 1, 2, 3. She touched the paper in her pocket. 4, 5. "This is it," she said, her voice almost a whisper. They got off. The wind here was sharper, funneled between the huge towers. Lily shivered and took Sarah's hand. Sarah looked up and up and up. The building in front of them was made of dark glass and silver metal. It seemed to touch the clouds. At the very top, in big letters, it said, "Thornfield Tower." This was the place, the last hope. Sarah looked down at Lily. She fixed her daughter's hat. She wiped a smudge of dirt from her cheek. "Okay," she said. "Hold my hand. Don't let go." Lily's small fingers gripped hers tightly. Together, they walked toward the giant glass doors. The giant glass doors slid open with a quiet sigh. Warm air, smelling of flowers and clean floors washed over them. Lily's hand tightened in hers. The lobby was huge. The floor was made of shiny white stone. A waterfall sound came from one wall. People in clean, dark clothes walked quickly, talking into phones. They did not look at Sarah and Lily. They looked through them. A man in a blue security uniform near the front desk saw them. His smile vanished. He started walking toward them. Sarah did not look at him. She looked straight ahead. Across the lobby, a group of people stood near the elevators. A tall man in a perfect gray suit was speaking. He had silver hair. He looked important. "And this marble was imported from Italy," the tall man said. "It represents the permanent strength of the Thornfield legacy." Two other people, a man and a woman in expensive coats, nodded. The security guard was getting closer. "Ma'am," he called out. His voice was firm. "Can I help you?" Sarah kept walking, pulling Lily with her. She walked right up to the group by the elevators. The tall man stopped talking. He looked at Sarah. His eyes moved from her worn boots to her thin coat. His mouth became a small, tight line. The security guard arrived, puffing. "Sir, I'm sorry. They just walked in." "It's quite all right," the tall man said. His voice was calm and cold. He looked at Sarah. "This is a private tour. The shelter is 3 blocks west." The woman in the coat took a small step back. Sarah let go of Lily's hand. She reached into her coat pocket. Her fingers found the soft folded paper. She pulled it out. She looked directly at the tall man. "My name is Sarah Miller," she said. Her voice was clear. It did not shake. "I bought this building." For a moment, there was only the sound of the waterfall. Then the tall man, Alistair Thornfield, laughed. It was a short, loud sound with no joy in it. "You bought it," he repeated. He adjusted the cuff of his sleeve. "Of course you did. Please leave before I have you removed." The security guard put a hand on Sarah's arm. "Come on now." Sarah shook the hand off. She did not look away from Thornfield. She held out the crumpled paper. "The paper is in my hand. Your opinion is not." Thornfield's smile faded. He looked at the paper. He did not take it. "What is this?" "It is the confirmation of sale," Sarah said. "From your online auction, the one for the undisclosed asset, the one you made to avoid taxes." Thornfield's face changed. The confidence flickered. A tiny doubt appeared in his eyes. He snatched the paper from her hand. He unfolded it roughly. Sarah counted the seconds. 1, 2, 3. Thornfield's eyes moved over the words. His face lost its color. He looked from the paper to Sarah, then back to the paper. His jaw tightened. "This is impossible," he whispered. "The lawyer's number is at the top," Sarah said quietly. "You can call him. His name is Mr. Evans. He managed my grandmother's trust, the trust that paid for this." The man and woman in coats looked at each other, confused. The security guard stood still, unsure. You are Sarah Miller?" Thornfield said the name like it was a bad taste in his mouth. "Yes." "This was a blind auction, a private transaction." "You never checked the buyer's name," Sarah said. She took the paper back from his loose fingers. "You just wanted the money." Thornfield stared at her. His whole body was still. The fury in his eyes was hot and bright. "This building is my name," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "It is mine." "Not anymore." Sarah folded the paper. She put it back in her pocket. She took Lily's hand again. Lily was hiding behind her leg, peeking out. "You need to leave." "You listen to me, you street trash," Thornfield hissed, stepping closer. "I will bury you in lawsuits. You have no idea what you've done." Sarah did not step back. She felt the warm air, saw the shiny floors. She saw Lily's scared face. She found a strength she did not know she had left. "I know exactly what I've done," Sarah said. "I came to get what is mine. Now get out of our building." She turned her back on him. She looked at the stunned security guard. "Can you please show us the way to the manager's office?" she asked, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. Thornfield stood there, white-faced, in the middle of the beautiful lobby. He watched a homeless woman and her sick child walk deeper into his greatest treasure, now theirs. He did not say another word. The manager's office was empty. The guard, whose name tag said Ben, had just pointed to the door and walked away quickly, his face confused. Sarah tried the handle. It was unlocked. The room was quiet and plain. There was a big desk, a chair, and a window looking out at the darkening city. The most important thing was that the door locked from the inside. Sarah locked it. The click was a beautiful sound. She turned around. Lily was standing in the middle of the room, perfectly still. She was looking at the carpet. "Mommy," Lily whispered. "It's so clean." Sarah looked. The carpet was a boring beige color, but it was soft and free of stains. "I know," she said. "Can I take off my shoes?" Lily asked. She had not asked that in a very long time. Taking off your shoes meant you were staying. It meant the floor was safe. Yes, Sarah said. Her own feet hurt. We both can. They sat on the floor and pulled off their boots and wet socks. The air on their bare feet felt strange. Lily wiggled her toes in the carpet. A tiny smile touched her lips. It's warm, Mommy. The floor is warm. Sarah felt it. Heat was coming up through the floor. The building had heat that just came on by itself. She stood up. Stay here. I'm going to look for a few things. She left the office door open just a crack so she could hear Lily. The hallway was long and silent. All the office doors were dark. Everyone was gone. She felt like a ghost in a giant, shiny tomb. She tried a few doors. One was a small kitchen with a sink and a coffee machine. Another was a supply closet. On a high shelf, she found 2 thin blankets, still in plastic wrap. She took them. She also found a half-full bottle of water and a new bar of soap. It felt like finding treasure. Back in the office, Lily was standing by the big window, her nose almost touching the glass. The city lights were coming on, thousands of tiny white and yellow stars below them. We're so high up, Lily said, her breath making a fog on the glass. Don't get too close, Sarah said, but her voice was soft. She spread one blanket on the carpet, far from the drafty window. She made a little bed. Are we sleeping here? Lily asked, her eyes wide. Just for tonight, Sarah said. The words were automatic. Don't get used to it. Don't love it. She gave Lily the bottle of water and watched her drink. Then she used some water and the new soap on a paper towel to clean Lily's face and hands. The simple act felt good, normal. They ate the dry roll from the shelter, sharing it. When it was time to lie down, Sarah wrapped the second blanket around them both. They lay on their makeshift bed. The warm floor heated their backs. The blanket was thin but clean. Lily squirmed close, her head on Sarah's arm. Her cough was still there, but it was softer in the warmth. Mommy? Lily's voice was sleepy. Yes, baby? Is the bad man really gone? Sarah looked at the ceiling. She saw Alistair Thornfield's white, furious face. For tonight, she said honestly. He's gone for tonight. Good, Lily sighed. A minute later, her breathing became deep and even. Sarah did not sleep. She listened. She heard the quiet hum of the building, a distant whir of a machine, the soft rush of air from a vent. Every sound was new and strange. She counted the ceiling tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4. It did not calm her. Her mind was a storm. She had a building. She had no money. She had a powerful enemy. She had no idea how to turn on the lights for the whole place or who paid the water bill. Lily coughed in her sleep and snuggled closer. Sarah held her, feeling the steady beat of her heart. This was too big. It was too much. For years her world had been small and hard, but she knew its rules. This was a different world, and she did not know anything. But under her, the floor was warm. Her daughter was clean and sleeping deeply. For this one night, the wind was not touching them. No one could tell them to move along. Sarah closed her eyes, just for a moment. She did not let herself hope, but she let herself feel the warmth, just for now. The morning light through the big window was a pale gray. Sarah was already awake. She had been awake for hours. Lily still slept, her breathing easier in the warm, still air. A sound made Sarah freeze. It was a soft shuffle, then a clang. Someone was in the hallway. Her first thought was Thornfield. She got up, moving quietly to the door. She listened. The sound came again, a metallic bump, then a low hum. It sounded like work. Cautiously, she unlocked the door and peeked out. An older man was pushing a large cart with cleaning supplies. He wore dark blue work clothes. He was tall, with broad shoulders and a kind, lined face. He did not look angry or surprised to see her. He just stopped and nodded. "Morning," he said. His voice was deep and calm. "Hello," Sarah said, her voice tight. She kept her body in the doorway, blocking his view of Lily. "You'd be the new owner," the man said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," he nodded slowly. "Name's Elijah Jones. I take care of the place." He looked at her for a long moment. "Heard the commotion yesterday. Saw Mr. Thornfield leave. His face looked like thunder." Sarah didn't know what to say. She just watched him. "Little one sick?" Elijah asked, his eyes gentle. "She has a cough. The cold will do that." He looked past her, into the office. You plan on staying in that room? I don't know, Sarah said honestly. Well, Elijah said, turning back to his cart, a building's like a person. Gotta know its heart to keep it beating. The heart's downstairs. I'm heading to the boiler room. You want to see it? Sarah hesitated. This could be a trick. But the man's eyes were steady. He offered information, not pity. She turned and saw Lily was awake, sitting up and watching. Can I come, Mommy? Lily whispered. Stay right here, Sarah said. I'll be back in a little while. Keep the door locked. She followed Elijah down the hall to a service elevator. It was large and plain. They rode down in silence. I'll be back in a little while. Keep the door locked. She followed Elijah down the hall to a service elevator. It was large and plain. They rode down in silence. The elevator opened into a huge, low-ceilinged space. It was warmer here and full of noise. Giant metal pipes ran along the walls. A large furnace hummed. This is it, Elijah said, his voice rising over the noise. He pointed. Water main, electrical panel, boiler. You should know where the switches are. He showed her the big labeled switches. He spoke slowly, clearly. Sarah listened, memorizing every word. This was real. This was how you kept the warmth on. Why are you helping me? Sarah asked suddenly. Elijah stopped. He wiped his hands on a cloth. I've been here 30 years. I keep the place running for the people in it. Now that's you. Ain't more complicated than that. After the boiler room, Sarah started to explore on her own. She told Elijah she wanted to see everything. He gave her a large ring of keys. The basement was a maze of storage rooms and old files. One hallway was darker than the rest. The lights were burned out. Sarah used the light on her old phone. At the very end was a wall that looked different. The bricks were older, a darker red. One section looked uneven, falling in clouds. There was a space behind the wall, and in that space was a small metal safe. It was rusty and covered in dust. It had a simple dial on the front. Sarah's hands were shaking. She tried the handle. It was locked. She looked at the dial. She didn't know the combination. It could be anything. Without thinking, she spun the dial to her grandmother's birthday. Nothing. She tried her own birthday. The latch did not move. She took a deep breath. She thought of the only other number that mattered. She carefully turned the dial to Lily's birthday. She heard a sharp asterisk click asterisk. She pulled the handle. The heavy door swung open. Inside were no stacks of money, just papers. A small bundle of letters tied with a faded ribbon, and a single, thicker piece of paper on top. Sarah lifted it out. The paper was brittle and yellow. The writing was in elegant, old-fashioned script. At the top it said, Deed. Her eyes scanned the words. They talked about a plot of land in Chicago. They mentioned a family name. Asterisk Miller asterisk. Her breath caught. The deed said the land was owned by Joseph Miller. That was her great-grandfather's name. Her grandmother had told her stories about him. Then she saw the second name on the paper, a name signing to take the land. The signature was messy, but she could read it. Asterisk Arthur Thornfield asterisk. The letters underneath told the story. They were from her great-grandfather to his brother. The words were sad and angry. He used the law to steal it. He had the money for lawyers. I had nothing. The land is gone. Sarah sat back on the cold floor, the old papers in her hands. The hum of the boiler was a distant sound. This land, this very land under the giant tower, it was stolen from her family. The building was not just something she bought by accident. It was something that was always meant to come back to them. She held the proof in her dusty hands. Sarah kept the old papers hidden in a clean envelope she found in a desk. She showed them to Elijah in the boiler room. He read the deed slowly, his finger tracing the names. Joseph Miller, he said quietly. That's your blood. Yes. Elijah looked at her. This changes the story. It's not just a sale now, it's a right. He won't care, Sarah said. No, Elijah agreed. He will care too much. The first attack came 2 days later. It was a letter from a law firm. The paper was thick and official. It said the sale of Thornfield Tower was under legal review. It said there were irregularities. It demanded Sarah provide many documents she did not have. Sarah read the letter 3 times. The words were complicated, but the threat was simple. They were coming to take the building back. What do I do? She asked Elijah. You don't ignore it, he said. But you don't panic. A letter is just paper until a judge says otherwise. The second attack was not made of paper. Sarah was in the lobby early one morning trying to understand the security system. Lily was a few steps away, looking at a small plant. Two men in dark jackets walked in. They were not office workers. They walked right up to Sarah. "You Miller?" one man asked. He had a flat voice. "Yes." "You should take the money and disappear," the man said. He did not raise his voice. "This is too big for you. Bad things can happen." Sarah felt cold. She moved so she was standing in front of Lily. "Leave now," she said. Her voice did not shake. The man smiled a mean smile. "Or what? You'll call the cops? We're just talking." He looked past her at Lily. "Cute kid. Be a shame if her new home had problems, like broken windows, or no heat." "Get out," Sarah said again, louder. The men looked at her for a long moment, then turned and walked away. Lily's small hand grabbed Sarah's coat. "Mommy?" "It's okay, baby. They're gone." But that night, Lily had a bad dream. Sarah woke to her crying. "The bad man's voice is loud," Lily sobbed, clinging to her. "He's not here," Sarah whispered, holding her. "He's gone." "But he talked about my home." The third attack was in the newspaper. Elijah brought it to her. The story was on page 4. The headline said, "Homeless woman in bizarre property grab." The article quoted a source close to Mr. Thornfield. It said Sarah was a troubled person who found a legal loophole. It said she was disrupting a business that employed many people. It did not mention the stolen land. It did not mention Lily. People in the building saw the article. Sarah saw it in their eyes. When she walked the halls, some tenants looked away quickly. Others stared with cold faces. A woman in the elevator spoke to her friend, but loud enough for Sarah to hear. "It's a disgrace. She'll run it into the ground and we'll all be out of a job." But not everyone was like that. The next morning, Sarah and Lily walked through the lobby. A young woman with flour on her apron stepped out of the small bakery shop. She held out a paper bag. "Hi," the woman said. She had a warm smile. "I'm Chloe. I run the cookie shop. These are day-olds, still good." She bent down a little to talk to Lily. "I heard you like the chocolate chip ones." Lily looked at Sarah, who nodded. Lily took the bag. "Thank you," she whispered. "You're very welcome," Chloe said. She looked up at Sarah. Her smile was kind but not pushy. "Welcome to the building." Later, Elijah found Sarah staring at the electrical panel, overwhelmed. "You don't have to know everything today," he said. "You just have to know enough to keep going." "They're scared of him," Sarah said. "The people here. They think I'll lose. They think he'll punish them for helping me." "Some think that," Elijah said. "But you're not him. You show them that day by day. You show them by not running." Sarah thought of the men's threats, the mean words in the newspaper. She thought of the old deed in the envelope. She had proof of who she was and where she came from. Thornfield had money and fear. She had paper and truth, and a daughter she had to protect. She looked at Elijah. "How do I pay the water bill?" The water bill was a problem Sarah could solve. Elijah showed her the online account. The building had money in its account from the last tenant's rents. She could pay it. The new letter was a problem she could not solve so easily. It came a week later. It was not from a lawyer. It was from a court. It had a formal seal. It was a summons. It ordered Sarah Miller to appear before a judge. The reason was written in clear, cold words. "Petition to void sale due to lack of legal standing." Underneath it explained. It said that to own property in the state, a person must have a fixed and permanent address of record. It said Sarah Miller had no such address. It said her only listed address was a homeless shelter that did not allow mail. Therefore, she could not legally own the building. Sarah read the words over and over. Her hands were very cold. This was the trick. This was how Thornfield would win. Elijah read the paper, his lips pressed tight. "It's a technicality," he said. "A mean one." "What does it mean?" Sarah asked, though she knew. "It means they are saying you don't count as a real person in the eyes of the law, because you have no home." Elijah's voice was heavy with anger. "They use your pain as a weapon against you." That night, Sarah could not eat. She sat on their blanket in the office. Lily ate a small dinner from the bag Chloe had brought, a sandwich and an apple. "Mommy, you're quiet," Lily said. "I'm just thinking, baby." "Are you thinking about the bad man?" Sarah nodded. She looked at her daughter's face. The fear was coming back. The safe warmth of the last week was cracking. Lily, what if we left? What if we found a different place? A smaller place just for us? Lily put her apple down. Her small face was very serious. You mean leave our home? It might not be our home for much longer, Sarah said softly. The man is using the law. He says because we didn't have a home before, we can't have this one. Lily thought about this. She looked around the office, at the window with the city lights, at the warm floor, at the door that locked. But this asterisk is asterisk our home, Lily said. Her voice was not loud, but it was firm. We sleep here. We are here. That makes it home. She looked right at Sarah. The bad man wants to take it, so we have to fight. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them away. It's not a simple fight, sweetie. It's in a court, with a judge. I don't know how to do that. Didn't you find those old papers? Lily asked. The ones about my great-great-grandpa? You said they were important. They are, but I don't know if it's enough. Lily crawled into her mother's lap, something she hadn't done in a long time. She put her arms around Sarah's neck. You have to tell the judge our story. You have to tell him about the cold and my cough and the papers in the wall. You have to tell him this is our home. She pulled back and looked at Sarah. We fight, Mommy. Sarah held her daughter close. She felt the small, solid weight of her. She thought of the years of doorways and shelters. She thought of the old, brittle deed. She thought of Thornfield's cold laugh in the lobby. Running was easier. Running was what they knew. But running would mean Thornfield won. It would mean going back into the cold. It would mean telling Lily that they didn't get to have a home after all. Sarah took a deep, shaky breath. She kissed the top of Lily's head. Okay, she whispered into her daughter's hair. Okay, we fight. The courthouse was a big stone building that felt heavy and old. Sarah wore the cleanest clothes she had, a pair of dark pants and a sweater she'd washed carefully in the sink. Lily held her hand tightly, dressed in her best outfit, a pink shirt with small flowers. Elijah met them on the steps. He wore a simple, clean jacket. You look ready, he said, his calm voice an anchor. I don't feel ready, Sarah admitted. You don't have to feel it, you just have to do it. Inside, the hallway was quiet. Then Chloe arrived, still in her baker's apron, carrying a paper bag. I closed the shop for an hour, she said, slightly out of breath. She handed the bag to Lily. For after, muffins. She gave Sarah a quick and tight hug. You can do this. They walked into the courtroom. It was smaller than Sarah expected. There were wooden benches. At the front was a tall desk for the judge. A woman in a black robe was already sitting there. She had sharp eyes and gray hair. Alistair Thornfield was already there, on the other side of the room. He wore an expensive suit. He sat perfectly still, next to a man with slicked back hair and a fancy briefcase, his lawyer. Thornfield did not look at Sarah. He stared straight ahead, adjusting his cufflink. Sarah's stomach turned over. She sat on a bench with Elijah and Lily. Chloe sat behind them. The judge spoke. This is a petition to void the sale of the property known as Thornfield Tower. Mr. Henderson, you may begin. Thornfield's lawyer stood up. He spoke in a smooth, clear voice. Thank you, Your Honor. This is very simple. The law requires a property owner to be a legal person with a fixed address. My opponent, Sarah Miller, has no such address. At the time of the sale, her listed residence was a homeless shelter. She was and is homeless. She cannot fulfill the basic legal duties of ownership. Therefore, the sale is invalid. The judge made a note. Miss Miller, you are representing yourself? Sarah stood up. Her legs felt weak. Yes, Your Honor. What is your response? Sarah took a deep breath. She opened a folder on the table. She took out the first paper. This is the document from the online auction. It shows I bought the building. The money came from a family trust fund. It was a legal sale. The judge took the paper and looked at it. This seems in order for the sale itself, but Mr. Henderson's point is about your legal capacity to own it. Sarah's hands were shaking. She put them flat on the table. I understand, but I have more. She took out the old yellowed papers. She handed them to the judge. This is a deed. It is very old. It shows the land under Thornfield Tower was owned by my great-grandfather, Joseph Miller. It was taken from him by Arthur Thornfield. She pointed to the signature. This paper, And these letters show the land was stolen from my family over 100 years ago. A murmur went through the room. Thornfield's lawyer stood up quickly. Your Honor, this is irrelevant ancient history. It has no bearing on the legal requirements for property ownership today. The judge held up a hand for quiet. She was reading the old letters, her face thoughtful. She looked at Sarah. Why are you showing me this, Miss Miller? Sarah's mouth was dry. She looked back at Lily. Lily gave her a small nod. I am showing you because it means I do have a fixed place. It is my family's place. It was always supposed to be my home. I just didn't know it. Sarah's voice grew stronger. I have been homeless for years. I slept in doorways with my daughter. She got sick from the cold. I was too proud to use my grandmother's gift until my child was sick. Then I used it, and I bought back what was already ours. She turned and looked right at Thornfield. He was staring at her now, his face pale with anger. He says I have no address, Sarah said to the judge. But for the past weeks, my address has been that building. My daughter sleeps there. We eat there. We lock the door at night. That is what a home is. He says I have no legal standing, but I have the standing of a mother fighting for a warm place for her child. I have the standing of a granddaughter claiming a gift. I have the standing of a great-granddaughter coming back to land that was stolen. The courtroom was completely silent. The judge looked from the old papers to Sarah, then to Thornfield's furious face. This is a very unusual situation, the judge said slowly. Thornfield's lawyer jumped up again. Your Honor, the law is clear. Sentiment does not change the legal code. The judge looked at him sternly. I am well aware of the law, Mr. Henderson. I am also aware of equity and of history. She looked back at Sarah. You are claiming this building not just through a sale, but through inheritance and restitution. Sarah nodded. Yes, Your Honor. I am claiming my home. The judge was quiet for a long time. She looked at the old deed in her hands. She looked at Sarah. She looked at Thornfield's lawyer. The law is clear about addresses, the judge finally said. Thornfield's lawyer allowed himself a small smile. However, the judge continued, the law is not blind. It must see the whole story. She put the old papers down. Miss Miller has provided a documented chain of ownership from the original land grant to the recent sale. The claim that she lacks a fixed address is a technicality that ignores the current reality. She and her daughter reside in the building. They receive mail there. It is their home. The lawyer's smile vanished. Your Honor, I am not finished, the judge said firmly. She turned to Sarah. The sale is valid. The petition to void it is denied. Thornfield Tower is legally yours, Miss Miller. Sarah's knees felt weak. She gripped the table. Next to her, she heard Lily let out a small gasp, but the judge was still speaking. She picked up the old deed again. Furthermore, this evidence of the original land transaction is compelling. It shows a historical wrong. While I cannot undo the past, I can address its effects in the present. She looked at Thornfield. Mr. Thornfield, your family has profited from this land for generations. Equity demands redress. I order you to pay Miss Miller a sum equal to 5 years of the building's net profits. This is a fair compensation for the historical use of her family's asset. Thornfield stood up. His face was a mask of pure shock. This is outrageous. I will appeal. You may, the judge said calmly. But this order stands. Court is adjourned. The judge stood and left. The room was silent for a moment, then erupted in sound. Elijah let out a long breath. Praise be. Chloe clapped her hands together once, her eyes shining. But Sarah was watching Thornfield. His lawyer was whispering furiously to him. Thornfield was not listening. He was staring at Sarah. The hatred in his eyes was colder than any Chicago wind. He straightened his suit jacket. He adjusted his cufflinks, his hands trembling with fury. He walked toward the door. He stopped right next to Sarah's table. He did not look at her. He spoke in a low, tight voice meant only for her. You have the paper, he hissed, but you are still nothing. This city will forget you by next week. Then he walked out. He did not look back. Sarah sank into her chair. The strength left her body all at once. Lily threw her arms around her neck. We won, Mommy. We really won. Sarah hugged her, feeling the truth of it settle into her bones. It was over. The building was truly theirs. They were safe. Elijah put a large, warm hand on her shoulder. You told your story, and the judge listened. Outside the courthouse, the sun was shining. Sarah looked up at the sky. blinking. It felt different. "What happens now?" Chloe asked, smiling. Sarah looked down at Lily, who was spinning in a small, happy circle on the sidewalk. "Now," Sarah said, "we go home." The news moved fast. By the next day, a short article appeared in the business section. It said the court had upheld the sale of Thornfield Tower to Sarah Miller. It mentioned the financial settlement. At the very end, it noted that Alistair Thornfield had announced he was leaving Chicago to pursue opportunities on the East Coast. He was gone. Sarah read the article in the lobby of her building. Elijah was polishing the brass on the front door. Chloe was arranging cookies in her shop window. Lily was drawing pictures at a small table. Sarah folded the newspaper. The fight was finished. The fear was lifting. For the first time, she looked at the huge, shiny space around her and did not see a trap or a temporary shelter. She saw walls that belonged to her. She saw a future. She walked over to Lily's table. "What are you drawing, baby?" Lily held up her paper. It was a picture of a tall building. In front of it were two stick figures, one big and one small, holding hands. Above them, she had written in careful letters, "Home." Sarah's heart felt so full it ached. She touched the top of Lily's head. "It's perfect," she whispered. Sarah looked at the drawing of home. She looked around the huge, shiny lobby. She thought about all the empty offices upstairs. She thought about the cold doorway they had slept in just weeks before. "Elijah?" she called. He walked over, polishing cloth in his hand. "Yes, ma'am." "Please don't call me ma'am," Sarah said. "There's something I want to do. I need your help." "I'm listening." She took a deep breath. "This building is too big for just two people, and it's too shiny. It feels like his building. I want it to be ours. I want it to be for people like us." Elijah's eyes were warm and curious. "What's your idea?" "The money from the court," Sarah said. "It's a lot. I want to use it to make homes here, real homes. We can turn the empty offices into small apartments for families who have nowhere to go." Elijah was quiet for a moment. He nodded slowly. "That's a big thing, a good thing, but it's a lot of work. You'd have to put in walls, kitchens, bathrooms." "I know," Sarah said, "but we have the space and we have the money to start." Just then, Chloe came out of her shop, wiping her hands on her apron. "What's the big idea? You two look serious." Sarah told her, "I want to make apartments, and I want to make the lobby kitchen bigger, a place where anyone can come for a hot meal, not just people who work here." Chloe's face lit up. "A community kitchen? I love that. I could help run it. We could make soups, stews, sandwiches, good simple food." Lily had been listening. She tugged on Sarah's sleeve. "Mommy, will there be other kids?" Sarah knelt down. "I hope so, baby. Would you like that?" Lily nodded, her eyes wide. "I could show them the warm floors." The next day, they started. Sarah, Elijah, and Chloe walked through the empty offices on the 10th floor. The rooms were full of dust and old desks. "This one could be a one-bedroom," Elijah said, pointing. "We could build a wall here for a sleeping area." "How much would that cost?" Sarah asked. "I know some people," Elijah said. "Good workers who need the job. They'll give you a fair price. We can do it one apartment at a time." They decided to start with 3 apartments. Elijah made phone calls. By the end of the week, a small crew of builders arrived. The sound of saws and hammers echoed in the empty halls. Down in the lobby, Sarah and Chloe planned the kitchen. They measured the space next to Chloe's bakery. "We can get a big stove," Chloe said, excited, "and long tables, so people can sit and eat together." Sarah used some of the money to order the equipment. She also talked to a lawyer to make sure everything was done correctly. She wanted to help people, not create new problems. One afternoon, a woman named Maria came to the lobby. She worked for a cleaning company on the 5th floor. She had heard the rumors. "Is it true?" Maria asked Sarah shyly. "You are making homes for people with no home?" "Yes," Sarah said. "It is true." Maria twisted her hands. "My sister, she and her 2 boys lost their apartment last month. They are staying with me, but my place is very small. It is too crowded. They are good people. They just need a chance." Sarah's heart beat faster. This was real. "Have them come see me tomorrow," she said. "We can talk." The first apartment was finished 2 weeks later. It had fresh white walls, a small kitchen, and a bathroom. There was a big window that let in the sun. Sarah, Lily, Elijah, and Chloe stood in the empty space. "It's not fancy," Sarah said. "It's dry, it's warm, it's safe," Elijah replied. "That's what matters." Sarah unlocked the door and gave the key to Maria's sister, Anya. Anya cried. Her two little boys ran into the room, laughing. "This is yours," Sarah said softly, "for as long as you need it." That night, Sarah lay next to Lily in their own room. They had moved out of the office into a real apartment on the top floor. It had a door that closed and a lock. "Mommy?" Lily whispered. "Yes?" "My teacher asked me what we did this weekend. I told her we helped make a home for a family. She said that was important work." Sarah hugged her close. "It is the most important work." She looked out the window at the city lights. The tower was no longer a cold trophy. It was becoming something new, something alive. The first step was done. The smell of simmering soup filled the lobby. It was a Thursday. Chloe's community kitchen was open for the first time. Long tables were set up, bowls and spoons were laid out. Sarah stood near the elevator, watching. Anya and her two boys were there, sitting with another family from the second new apartment. A few older people from the neighborhood had come in too, drawn by the warm smell and the open door. Lily ran up to her, her backpack bouncing. School was over. "Mommy, we painted pictures in art class. Mine is on the wall." "That's wonderful, baby," Sarah said, smoothing her daughter's hair. Lily's cheeks were pink. She wasn't coughing anymore. Elijah came out of the service hallway, wiping his hands. He looked at the full tables and smiled. "Sounds like a home now. Good sounds." Chloe came over, carrying a big pot. "Soup's ready. Lily, want to help me hand out the bread?" Lily nodded eagerly and followed Chloe to the kitchen. Sarah watched her go. Her daughter was not hiding behind her legs anymore. She was helping. Later, Sarah and Elijah walked through the halls. They checked on the third apartment being built. The workers were putting in kitchen cabinets. "The Johnson family moves in next week," Elijah said. "Father, mother, teenage daughter, they've been in a shelter since summer." Sarah nodded. "Good." They went down to the boiler room. Elijah showed her the readings for the water and heat. "With more people living here, the bills will be higher, but the rent from the other businesses and the money you have left will cover it. We'll be all right." "We," Sarah repeated. It was a word she was getting used to. That evening, after the kitchen was cleaned and the lobby was quiet, Sarah sat with Lily in their apartment. Lily was doing homework at the small table. "Can Anya's boys come play tomorrow?" Lily asked. "If it's okay with their mom, yes," Sarah said. "Good. I want to show them how to slide in their socks on the hallway floor." Sarah smiled. She looked out the window. The Thornfield Tower sign was gone. A new sign was being made. It would just say, "The Tower," a simple name for a new place. She thought about the past, the cold, the fear, the feeling of being invisible. It was still a part of her. She still counted the steps in the hallway sometimes. She still hated the color beige, but it was not all of her anymore. The next morning, there was a meeting in the lobby. Sarah, Elijah, Chloe, and a few of the new residents sat at one of the big tables. "We need to make rules," Sarah said. "Simple ones, about quiet times, about keeping the shared areas clean. We should have a movie night," one of the teenagers suggested. "And a planting box outside for flowers," Anya said. Everyone talked. Sarah listened. She was not a boss giving orders. She was part of a group figuring things out. After the meeting, Lily found her. "Mommy, come see." Lily led her to a corner of the lobby, near the big window. She had arranged a collection of smooth white stones on the ledge. They were in a careful, swirling pattern. "It's our family," Lily said, pointing. "This big one is you. This little one is me. This flat one is Elijah. This round one is Chloe." She pointed to several other stones. "And these are Anya and her boys. And these are the new people, all together." Sarah looked at the pattern of stones. It was beautiful and simple. A whole community on a window ledge. She put her arm around Lily. "It's perfect." The sun came through the window, warming the stones. The building hummed softly around them, full of life. Downstairs, the soup for tomorrow was already simmering in the big pot. They were home, and they were not alone.